Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. Hope everyone's doing good out there. This is a recap of the Dolphins' first preseason game as they end the game in a tie with the Chicago Bears 24-24. I'm going to talk about a couple key components that stood out to me in this game. And the first one I'm going to start off with is Mike McDaniel. How fitting, 3 years in, this is his fourth year now as the head coach. The Dolphins have been arguably, the most penalized and undisciplined team in all of football, specifically on the offense side of the ball. And how fitting our first play on offense, in this preseason, officially the start of year 4 for McDaniel. How fitting the first play ends with a illegal shift, I think it was. So already from day one, we're picking up from where we left off last season. So that was super, disheartening, I guess, to see, but not surprising because, like I said, we are in year 4 of the Mike McDaniel team / offense. And, obviously it sucks to see that immediately out of the gate, one of the key things we wanted this team and McDaniel to work on, they still have an issue with it. So obviously it's not good to see, but like I said, at the same time, at this point, can we be surprised? Not really. We just gotta hope for a miracle at the end of the day. So yeah, we start off with it's crazy, with a flag on the first play, and the first drive ends like many of them ended last year. We get stopped 2 times in a row at the 1 yard line because McDaniel refused to put in any of his big backs in Alexander Mattison, the veteran who we added this offseason, and Ollie Gordon, the rookie we drafted, this year in the 7th round. And unfortunately, that first drive ends, with getting stopped 2 times in a row at the 1 yard line. And just to point it out there, Tua did play in that first drive, even though Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, did not play. We still put out Tua out there. I'm not gonna lie, it was scary because of the hole we have right now on the right side of the line with Austin Jackson being gone for all of preseason. We kind of have a couple backups out there, so it was scary that we had some backups on the right side. Our 2 main receivers weren't out there. But at the end of the day, Tua was able to lead the team down the field and to the 1 yard line. But like I said already, we got stopped there. Then on our second drive, we made it all the way back right on offense, and it took us like three plays in a row from the 1 yard line to score a touchdown on a run by Alexander Mattison. So look what happens when you use one of your big backs in the goal line. It usually results in a touchdown for your team rather than using one of the smaller guys who's not made to be powerful back in the trenches. I'm hoping that McDaniel saw that and adjust right away next week in game 2 in Detroit. So yeah, that was something that was frustrating. Again, to go back to last year, like I said already, with the first play of the game being a flag, you go back to last year, we were probably the worst red zone offense in all of football, and then we get to the 1 yard line. It takes us around 5 or 6 plays to actually score a touchdown. So, that was super frustrating to see as well. And another thing, we're in the goal line, we didn't really use our big-bodied receivers like Nick Westbrook-Akine, who we signed from the Titans this offseason. I expected him to be a first-team receiver, and second, like he's been on the second team, which I really don't understand. Because even with Hill and Waddle, even if they were playing, we still are super short in receiver, and at least Westbrook-Akine provides some height and some 50-50 ball, opportunity for the quarterback. He did a great job last year. He had a lot of touchdowns with the Titans. So that's something I want to see adjusted going forward. I want to see Nick Westbrook-Akine in that first team, getting some first team reps because he could provide a lot of what we were missing last year, a big body, target in the red zone, from the tight end aspect. I mean, it shouldn't be shocking at this point when you look at our tight end room. Darren Waller, he is listed as a starting tight end, but he hasn't even practiced one day since he's been here. So we have Julian Hill, we have Tanner Conner, a couple of guys who were kind of just like hoping turn out to be good, but at the end of the day, their track record isn't the greatest. But now to get into the positive side of this game for this team, in my opinion, the defense. I want to shout out Coach Anthony Weaver, second-year defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. I thought he did a tremendous job. I was excited already going into the year about our front 7, but now after watching this preseason game, I'm even more excited about the front 7 specifically because the backups and, the guys fighting for roster spots, they look like they could really play. I love their energy. It looks like the coaching staff put them in each of them in the best possible position to succeed, man, because these guys were flying all over the place. I want to specifically highlight, to start off with Derrick McLendon. He was on our practice squad last year. He didn't get a snap, during the season, But the way he started off today, man, it looks like Derrick McLendon is off to a great start in preseason, and he already made a huge name for himself. So we're hoping he takes this momentum into our second game next week in Detroit. Because yeah, McLendon was just everywhere. Let me pull up the stats really quick. I believe I want to say he had multiple sacks. Okay, so McLendon had 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, then 1 quarterback hit. Yeah, he was all over the place, Derrick McLendon. Another guy in the edge rushing department I want to point out is Grayson Murphy, the second-year pro out of UCLA. Just like McLendon, Murphy was all over the place. He had a couple early opportunities where he kind of missed out on some, tackles for loss or sacks, but thankfully he was able to get a big-time sack, and you saw him go to his knees and put his arms up, like basically praising God for allowing him to finally get a sack. But yeah, Murphy and McLendon specifically stood out to me. And then you think of our starting front seven. You think of Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, who didn't play today. You think of Chop Robinson, the sophomore who didn't play today as well. And the highlight Kenneth Grant as well, the first round pick this year out of Michigan. When he got into the game finally, I thought he did a hell of a job. He had a nice pass where he batted down at the line of scrimmage. You saw a lot of great energy from him as well. And yeah, overall, what I love most about the defense and what Coach Weaver was able to do with this group today was their energy. I thought the defense, the edge rushers were flying all over the place. You saw great energy from the linebackers. KJ Britt, who we brought over, the veteran from Tampa, he did a hell of a job in his Dolphins preseason debut. Willie Gay, in his Dolphins debut as well, he had a couple nice tackles out there. And, I just thought the defense did an incredible job. And, even though, the secondary, of course, is the biggest question mark going into the season. I've talked about it here a couple of times on the podcast. I thought they held, their own. They did the best they could, in my opinion. At the end of the day, we got to be realistic with them because the majority of them don't have a lot of opportunity, don't have a lot of experience so far in the NFL. So we got to be as realistic as possible. But if our front seven is able to, hit on all cylinders like they did for the majority of the contest today, I think that could really help our secondary going forwards. I want to shout out Ethan Bonner. He had a super nice pass breakup that led to a tip ball, and the ball landed in the hands of safety Patrick McMorris, who we drafted last year out of California. But yeah, Ethan Bonner, he's been a guy on our practice squad for a while. He got a couple snaps last year due to injury, but he's someone that's super intriguing. A lot of fans have been, intrigued by him, and he had a hell of a start today to, preseason. So we're hoping Bonner continues to climb up from here. And someone else I want to talk about before we wrap up quickly here, I want to send my prayers to Alexander Mattison. He had a scary injury in this game. He kind of landed on his head. And he kind of, it took a while for him to get up, from the field, and he kind of walked off a little gingerly. His body looked a little awkward. So far, the initial reports that it could be a neck or shoulder injury. I think it's going to be a concussion because he looks super weird. Like his body, it looked super weird when he was walking off the field. So I want to make sure to send my best to Alexander Mattison, and we hope he has a speedy recovery. And speaking of Mattison, to highlight one more guy before I wrap this up, Ollie Gordon, 7th-round pick, this year, the running back. He did a hell of a job when he finally got his opportunity in this one. He had a lot of broken tackles that he did. He scored a touchdown. Ollie Gordon did a hell of a job in his Dolphins preseason debut. I'm super excited, and right now, I want to say it. I think Ollie Gordon in game 2 next week deserves to be out there from the jump. He deserves to be out there with, the starting offensive linemen if they do play next week. I think Ollie Gordon earned his chance now to get some reps with that first group. I feel like him and Achane could be a deadly duo. Last year, we're lucky that Achane lasted as long as he did because we very much overworked Achane last year. And at the end of the day, he's a smaller running back. He's not made to be, a full-time running back. So we're able to mix in Ollie Gordon and hopefully Mattison when he comes back from his injury, and Jaylen Wright's able to help Achane in that smaller, flashier back type of role. I think that'll be a nice little group there for the Dolphins. But at the end of the day, it's really going to go to Mike McDaniel and then to the offensive line. Honestly, the offensive line, the right side specifically, very much worried me, but I wasn't shocked because, as I said earlier in the show, Austin Jackson is out for all of training camp and all of preseason. So we have a couple backups out there now. Larry Borum, Keon Smith, a couple guys there, fighting for that tackle job right now. As for the left side, I thought Patrick Paul did good. Jonas Safai-Alaya, the rookie, I probably pronounced his last name wrong there. I thought he did pretty good, man, for his first, preseason NFL game. I'm excited to see what he does going forward. Aaron Brewer was out there. He was fine. There was one play where he did have one bad snap to Tua, but then the day Brewer was so good last year, and he really exceeded expectations. So we're expecting a strong second year as a Dolphin for Aaron Brewer at center. But yeah, guys, other than that, I'm going to wrap this episode up. really quickly to mention this, nothing too crazy to talk about. I'm still surprised that there's a punting battle going on. You know, we had Jake Bailey, who we've had for the last 2 years, and we brought in Ryan Stonehouse this off season, formerly of the Tennessee Titans. And I very much expected Bailey to get cut right when Stonehouse got signed. Ultimately, they're still on the roster. Today, Jake Bailey started off. Then we put in Stonehouse later in the game. Honestly, not to hate on Jake Bailey, but in his first 2 years, he hasn't been impressive whatsoever. So I don't know why the Dolphins would keep him for a third season. But at the end of the day, it's out of my control. But I am shocked that we still have punting competition going on here. I feel like there's a lot more positions we should be worried about besides punters. So I don't think we should be having a punting battle this late in training camp. But end of the day, we'll see what they end up deciding to do. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this Dolphins preseason recap. Again, the Dolphins and Bears end the game in a tie 24-24. Mike McDaniel with some repetitive issues that he's had in his first 3 seasons. You know, the offensive line on the right side did not look good. But thankfully, you know, the defense looked really great in this game. As I said, Coach Anthony Weaver, second-year defensive coordinator here, he did a hell of a job. So shout out to Coach Weaver once again. If you guys want to share your thoughts on this Dolphins preseason game, make sure to hit us up on Instagram and TikTok at @theflame_ES. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment. Let us know what you thought about this performance today. And yeah, guys, make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. And until next time, everyone, fins up and take care.